Welcome to the Friday edition of Juan's World, and today is a continuation of what I started on Tuesday, Christmas in Cambodia. Now, strictly speaking, I'm not going to be talking about how Khmer people celebrate Christmas, if they do, which most of them don't. Although last time I did show you these things, these lighted reindeer and whatnot, as a starting point, but mostly I'm just dealing with what I have to deal with, which is trying to make Christmas using Asian ingredients, and sometimes it's less successful than others. So let's get started on that. What I mentioned last time, among other things, was sausage rolls. And I made some sausage rolls and showed them to you, and I showed you how I made different kinds of sausage meat to fill the sausage rolls. And of course I could have done that with just regular pastry. But what I decided instead was to take spring roll pastry, which is used to make surprise, surprise, spring rolls. And I rolled up some of the newer sausage meat that I'd made with a lot of different spices, and deep fried it. I could have baked it, but I decided to deep fry them, and they worked out wonderfully. They're crispy and golden and nice and meaty inside. That was step number one. And I've had also thought that given time I would make empanaditas, that is South American fried pockets with mincemeat in them, and I still may do that, but I haven't got around to that yet because I had made a big mincemeat coffin, which I was like plowing my way through. I still haven't quite finished it yet, so I'll get to that at some point, and I'll do something with it. Having made these deep fried, I don't know what you call them, sausage spring rolls, I decided to make summer rolls. Now, summer rolls are made with rice paper, and what you do is you moisten the rice paper. It comes in packages. It's very stiff, but if you put it under water for just a minute or so, it softens up, and then you can load it up with various things and roll it up, which is what I did. And I, as always, had on hand some pork belly. So I also had some vegetables, including some bean sprouts and some red bell pepper, and I tried to get scallions and couldn't, but I did have a little bit of chopped leek. So I chopped up some pork and some vegetables and put them in the rice paper, folded them up, rolled them around, and here you have a nice summer roll. A Christmas summer roll, I guess. I don't know quite what you'd call it. And then I thought, well, I've got my deep fryer going, so I made a second one and popped it in the deep fryer. And the nice thing about rice paper is that when you deep fry it, it becomes really crispy. And so there was, there's my sausage rolls transformed into spring rolls and summer rolls and what have you. and perfectly delightful. And that's the kind of thing that I used to do even back in Argentina. I used to make something similar because I didn't have, at the time when I was living in Buenos Aires, I didn't have an oven, so I couldn't make regular sausage rolls, and so some kind of roll had to do, and that was great. And I forgot to mention last time that I have been doing a lot of other things that remind me of Christmas, particularly in the tropics, because I used to obviously celebrate Christmas in Buenos Aires, where it's very hot at Christmas time, and where they make asado, that is like kind of like a charcoal barbecue of meat, and they do that with pork during the day, and then they cool it and eat it cold at night with a salad and then with ice cream for dessert, followed by champagne at midnight. So anyway, so I'm kind of recreating that a little bit, and whilst I was at it, I remembered that there's a couple of things that I always used to do and still do if I can, and one of them is to make mincemeat ice cream. You know, I've got tons of mincemeat still. I think I've used up 1 kilo maybe, so I think I've got 3 kilos left. And what I did was I got some coconut ice cream and divided it in half and put half in an empty container and left the other half in the original container, and then filled the void that I had made by emptying half with mincemeat. Then stir it around, and you need to let the ice cream soften so that it gets, you know, gets good and not fluid, but I mean at least enough to be able to get it all stirred around, and then put it back in the freezer so that it will harden up again. And so I did that, and I've made several nice little desserts with glacé cherries and sprinkles and so forth. But then I also, for Immaculate Conception, which is December 8th, I made a special Argentinian dish as well, because Immaculate Conception is the beginning of the Christmas season in Argentina. Unlike in, let's say, Europe, where in theory it begins with the first Sunday in Advent, in Argentina it begins with the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And it's very common on that feast to make what's called guiso de lentejas, or lentil stew, which is about what you would imagine, you know, and the way I created it was the way I usually made it in Argentina, which is to just simmer brown lentils forever and ever with various vegetables, including potatoes, bell pepper, squash, and pork ribs, short ribs, and just boil and boil and boil, and eventually you get, and you see it here. Oh, and you also need to add, tomato paste, and the spices that you like. In this particular case, I think I put in oregano and parsley. I'm not sure what else, but certainly those two. And it makes a really festive, filling meal for the evening of the feast of the Immaculate Conception, and things get started. Now, it's funny because Argentina is a Catholic country, and yet they don't really do all that much in the way of commercial Christmas stuff. I mean, there are Christmas dishes, and particularly baked goods, but there's not a lot of present giving. You go to the mall in the week before Christmas, in Buenos Aires, and it's you know, no different from any other day of the year. You know, practically empty. And when I was living there and would stay with friends and their families on Christmas Eve, we would typically at midnight toast in champagne and give a gift to everybody, and we'd each give like a small token gift to the others. So a couple of times I got a keychain, for example. And that's it. I mean, the whole essence of Christmas in Argentina is about getting together and eating together and having fun together, not buying a lot of stuff. And it's the same is true in Cambodia, because you know, here most people don't even celebrate Christmas. So there's not a lot of gift giving and all that sort of thing. But I like to cook. And my last great joy was that yesterday I had to go out to pay my phone bill. And I just discovered a new butcher. I used to go to a butcher near where I used to live by the palace. A French woman who ran a French charcuterie for years and years and years. And I used to go there and get a roast of lamb or of beef or something like that. Because you can't normally get roasts in the supermarkets because people don't buy them because they don't have ovens. So, but she went out of business, and that was great lament. But I found out there's a new place, or at least it's not that new, but it was new to me, in a very obscure part of town. And so I tootled along there and found masses of roasts. And so I got myself 2 kilos of shoulder of lamb, which I'm going to roast for my Christmas dinner, along with another meat, because you always should have 2 meats for Christmas. And so I'm going to get a duck breast, so it'll be roast duck, roast lamb, and roast vegetables of various sorts. I've got some squashes which I'm considering roasting and then mixing with cloves and mace and what have you. We'll see. I don't know, that's a little bit too far in the future, but I've got this nice shoulder of lamb which I will roast on Christmas, and then in the days afterwards towards New Year's I expect I will make lamb curry, shepherd's pie, and ultimately the remainder of the bones and whatnot I'll make in a Scotch broth. So that'll take me at least the week into New Year. So that's the second part of Christmas. I'm probably going to do something more at some other point before Christmas Day itself. But for now, I hope you have a good weekend. Please tell your friends, please like, please subscribe, and I'm pretty sure I'll see you on Tuesday. Not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'll see you then. Have a good weekend.